Welcome back to the Chatter's Box. My name is Kyle McClellan, your host, and I am joined today by Mr. 200. Adam Wainwright, fresh off his 200th win. I'm looking forward to this one. I've been trying to get you to do this all year, and you've been blowing me off and putting me off. Yeah.
Why didn't you ask?
Yeah. Check your text messages. They're in there. But I'm glad it happened now. Here we are. This is probably going to come out tomorrow, so we're to set the scene. We're 2 days after 200.
See, I knew that was going to happen. That's why I waited so that you would have a better show. You know, it's for you.
I appreciate that. Has it set in yet?
I don't know. It's really cool. I'll tell you that. I mean, it's better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I kept trying to tell myself, look, it's just a number. If I go out and throw 3 shutouts in a row to end the season and they don't score runs, 199, 200 is not a difference. There's a difference. There's a difference. There is. But I got some really cool text messages along the way, and a lot of great encouragement from tons of different people along the way. And it took me an hour and 42 minutes today to answer text messages from the other day. So, I tried to do a personal one too, not just like a mass text to everybody. I felt like a lot of people had their hand on this, so I felt like I needed to make it personal back to them, and I loved every second of it. It wasn't like, oh gosh, it was man, this is pretty neat.
I mean, a lot of those names had to be, I'm sure, guys you competed against, former teammates. I mean, give me an idea of 300 and something texts I know you posted. What are some of those names that stood out?
About 450 something texts, actually. Crazy. I didn't even think I had that many people that cared about me that much, but I appreciated it so much. I mean, some crazy names, right? Johnny Bench reached out to me. I did not know he had my number at all. He didn't. He just went and got it somehow. I had Rob Manfred reach out. I had John Hamm reach out, and some other cool people like that in the Hollywood scene. I had lots of former players and teammates reach out, and all my family, of course, and people growing up, that I hadn't talked to since Little League. I mean, really, a lot of really neat things happened this week.
Yeah. So take me back to that game. I mean, it's been a tough year for you, right? I mean, when you come into this year, you're thinking, I only got a handful left to get. I'm probably going to get it. You're 42, man. It's like, and I know you. Like watching you, I can tell, like, you don't have to go in it, but you're not 100%. Let's just say that.
Not even close,
right?
buddy.
So, I mean, it's clearly you can see that, and you're going out and competing, and you've had some tough ones. And the thing that I respect about you more than anything, and this is not just this year, but like you can't get down. Like, I've never seen you get down. I've seen you get frustrated, but you come back and you're always optimistic, and it's always the next start, I'm going to turn it around. And you've convinced yourself that, you convince your teammates that, and you've gone through this season, had the ups and downs. That game in Baltimore, that had to be the one that's like, all right, I'm gonna get this, right? Like, if you don't get that one in Baltimore, it's a lot harder.
Makes it a lot tougher. And I'll tell you, I got done with that game, and I told Jenny, I think this is one of my favorite wins ever, just because the chips were stacked against me. I had not been going well for a few months. I actually had been pitching a little better lately, and working around what I have now. I'm finally getting comfortable with what I have, and so I know I need to change some arm angles and throw some different speeds on different pitches and change the locations of things that I didn't used to throw, and try different stuff. And the hitters are telling me that works. So if my body didn't feel horrible, I might think, golly, that might be fun to just see what a whole season that looks like. Because the times that I've done that well, I've pitched pretty good games against some good teams: San Diego, Baltimore, and now Milwaukee. We're talking about 3 really, really talented offenses coming down the stretch here. I knew it was not going to be easy. I faced San Diego, Atlanta, Baltimore, Milwaukee, and then San Diego again, and then Cincinnati, which has always had my number. So I'm thinking, well, dang, if I get it, I'm going to earn it. I mean, the idea going into the season was to get 5 wins in the first month of the season, right? Just go ahead and get it over with, and then just have great time and win 215 games this year. But about 2 weeks before the season started, my body it just shut down on me, basically. I fought my way through the WBC the best I could. Luckily, I had an incredible curveball working that I could work at any count. Didn't have much fastball, but I didn't almost need to because I was spinning it really well. And then when I started the season finally this year, I tweaked my leg right in the very last second, right before the championship game of the WBC. Tweaked my adductor in my left leg, so I missed a couple of weeks there. But when I did come back, I lost my curveball for a couple of months, and so how that is for me. That's like that's like losing oxygen almost for me.
You throw that more than your fastball, almost,
right? Yeah. So I mean that made it a lot tougher. And so you know how it is. Sometimes you just got to find a way. Sometimes you got to figure out when it's not going good, or you got your arm stinks or your back's killing you, which has been very true of both of those all year this year. You just got to figure out a way to make it happen and find a way to win.
Well, I can tell you, my son and I were watching. Every time you're starting, paying attention to it, get home from practice or whatever, it's like, hey, let's turn it on. And 1-0, and you go out for the 5th. It look like you're cruising. Okay, is he going to come back out? Yeah, he goes back out for the 6th. Ali comes out, have that conversation. Okay, we get through this. And then the stinking leadoff hitter gets on, I think, every inning, the 7th, 8th, and 9th when they bring the bullpen in. I'm like, oh, my gosh, 1-0 game. At that point, like, if it doesn't happen there, I'm like, man, mentally, I don't know. I mean, he's the toughest guy mentally I know, but I'm like, man, I don't know. I think he's all in on this, and let's get it finished. But so you're out of the game. You lose the control now.
Yep.
You can see the way your teammates are fighting. I mean, it's obvious they're playing different than we've seen them play. I mean, they know what's on the line. Helsley comes in for a 4-out save, hasn't had it since May. So it finally happens. Okay, the fly ball goes to right field. It finally happens. I mean, just what is that? What is that like? Because
you know what I noticed when that last out was made and Tommy catches the ball. You know what I noticed right away? Jordan Walker is right behind him, and he jumps up for joy like he won the World Series. And I think my whole team did that during that second, and it was so cool to me. They were pushing hard for me. They wanted to win, obviously, anyways. But for us to go out and win that game, and especially a 1-0 game, where I was able to pitch 7 good innings, and I felt like me again. If at least one last time, I felt like me out there. It felt like I was supposed to be. I was a pitcher. I was in control of the game and controlling counts and keeping guys off base, and when they did get on base, controlling the running game and doing all the little things that pitchers have to do. And when that 3rd out was made, he's jumping up and down, and I'm hugging, I'm tearing up and hugging. The first 2 hugs I gave were to Jason Shutt and Adam Olson, the 2 guys that have poured the most into me the last 5 or 6 years. When it's been, it's been a work for them to get me out there.
Those are the athletic trainers.
Athletic trainers, and that's been work for them. And them and Chris Conroy was the next one. And these 3 guys have been there through thick and thin for me. When I showed up the other day, I showed up with all kinds of back spasms you can't believe. And Conroy goes, all right, go get him. And then he looked at Adam. He told me this afterwards. He looked at him and he goes, man, he's up the creek, dude. He's screwed. And then Adam walks into the trainers and to the Ollie's office and says, hey, you might want to get a plan B going because this guy's pretty jacked up today. And, my arm was not great. It's not in the best spot. We'll talk about it more after the season,
right.
But it's been better. I'll just tell you that. And my warm-up was probably the top 3 toughest warm-ups I've ever had in my whole life. Just could barely get it to the catcher. And as we got warmed up, I thought, you know what? This is that we're doing it today. Today it's happening, and I'm putting everything I got into this. Every single thing I got, I'm leaving it out there, and we'll see what happens.
Well, and for me, it was cool because it was vintage you, right? I mean, you got to understand from a listener standpoint, when I was teammates with you in 2008, you didn't pitch for most of that year, right? You had
made like 20 starts. Yeah.
Okay. I know you had an injury for that. So 2009. Now we got you and Carp, and we had our feet up in the bullpen on those days because we knew we weren't pitching. The closer maybe was going to throw, but I mean you were throwing a shutout, giving up 1 run. You were going 8 for sure. I mean, and so that was the thing for me watching. I'm like, he gets to go out the way that this is him. I mean, guy gets on first base, ground ball, double play, boom. I mean, it was classic you, and you've also, I mean, 2000. Was it 2010? You came up to me in Miami in BP, and you're like, I think I tore my elbow. I'm I'm like, what do you mean? You got 19 wins. You're like, I'm going to pitch the next game in Chicago with a torn elbow. And you went out and did it, and you're throwing 83. So I'm like, I know he can do it, and he's tough, and he's going to fight through it. And there's always things that people don't know that's going on of that. But so 200, I mean, is that why you came back this year?
No, I mean, that was one of the reasons I came back, because I felt like that was a cool number. But I really came back to win a World Series. I mean, I felt like the team we had, the young team we had, and I felt like, we had some guys that were going to step up. I thought we were going to win. Turned out not to be the way I wanted to go out that way. We just got off to a horrible start right away, and our pitching just wasn't there, and then our hitting wasn't there, and then our fielding was, for the first 3 quarters of the season, our fielding was really bad, and just everything, just nothing worked, and you know how it is. I mean, in 2010, we didn't make the postseason. We had 2 top 5 Cy Young guys and the MVP, and a couple of incredible players all around them, Matt Holliday, and great bullpen, and great other starters, and I mean, it just didn't work out. Like, the magic wasn't there for some reason, and this year, just for whatever reason, the magic didn't happen. The guys that I thought were going to step up, including myself, didn't. But the good thing is we did see some young guys, come of their own. We saw Brendan Donovan really step up. What a player he is. We saw Jordan Walker. We figured out what kind of guy that guy is, and see him working in the outfield to try to get better every day. He's going to be great. See Mason come up and play great defense. Man, that game he played behind me the other day, he looked like Ozzie Smith out there.
It's going to be fun to watch,
Yeah, he's incredible out there, and he's got such a great arm to go with it. I think he's going to hit better and better the more he's comfortable with big league pitching. He's just, I mean, look, these guys are 20 years old.
Right.
They're 20 and 21 years old, and they're asking them to learn in the big leagues, because we have a lot less minor league stuff going on. We used to, a lot less teams. And, with the way, I don't know, salaries or whatever it is, and especially the way this season went, they didn't learn that stuff in the minor leagues. They said, come on up to the big leagues and learn here, and that's a tough place to learn. You know how it is. It's a very tough place to learn. But I think they're doing great. They're grinding through really well. They're working their tails off. They got a great mindset, great attitudes. And I think honestly, this struggle this year is going to be very good for the organization going forward. I think the team realized we needed to make some adjustments. I think the front office realized they need to make some adjustments. I think the hitters and the pitchers and the fielders and the positioning and everybody realized they need to make some adjustments. They need to step up. They need to be better. And they take this serious when they come into spring training next year. There's going to be some ticked-off Cardinals ready to get back on top of this division again. And so sometimes you need that wake-up call.
Well, and it's been a while here. I mean, we've had a good run. And the thing that I know you take seriously is can you say you're done for next year?
Done, buddy.
Okay.
Done as it gets.
So well, you're done for next year, but you're still invested and committed to these guys for next year. I mean, you might not be on the team and in that locker room, but you're trying to leave this locker room, this organization in a place that they can go forward. And that's honestly the organization. I mean, there's been, the Chris Carpenters, the Mike Matheny's before him, you can go down the line, right? And especially the last 20 years of guys that have played that role. Have you ever thought about that? I know you get asked about it, and I know, maybe as you step back and have time to reflect a little bit more, but like your name and the things that you've brought to this organization are going to stay here for a long time. And the things that you've carried on, things you have made important. I think about starting pitchers going out and watching each other throw. There's no other and it blows my mind. Maybe there is now and I don't see it. There's no other organization that has their starters go out there and watch each other in the bullpen. And I think that's crazy. Like, I think that should be a standard thing, and that's something that you've really enforced and continued, to take on and make sure that these young guys do that. That's going to happen for a long time. All the ways you've poured into these guys. I mean, does that hit you at all? Well,
I've loved being a part of carrying that baton and hand it to the next guys. When I got here, we were handed a great gift of an organization. This place was in great shape, with great leaders and great veteran leadership and great young guys coming up who wanted to be that next leader. We were spoiled here to come up in this way in this organization. What a shame it would be if I left it worse than I got it. And so that's what I always tell these guys. Hey, when you, like, simple things too. It's not just like going out on the field and doing things the right way as a player. But like when you're inside the locker room, when you're inside the clubhouse, when you get done shaving, hey, wash it out, throw your razor away, whatever it is, you know, like this is your home. Like let's take care of it, you know, tipping the guys and cleaning up your plate and you know, there's a saying like it's the big league, somebody will get it. Like we don't really believe in that so much, right? You should handle your own business in there and take care of it just like it was your own bedroom or something. So I love watching young guys enforce that too. Like, hey man, you gonna get this plate? Like you're just gonna leave it here? And I'm like, yes, man, yes, you know. And that's fun to me to watch guys see the right thing and then want to do the right thing.
So Yadi, bummer he wasn't there yesterday for you, but I mean, talk about that relationship a little bit. You know, and I know how close you guys are and how tight you are. It had to be tough without him this year, you know, going through it, not having him there. Yeah,
he's like your security blanket, you know, like it's he knows a look in my face when I'm needing him to be more, when I'm more relying on him calling pitches, or whether he needs to set up more or halves of the plate or thirds of the plate or off the plate, you know, whatever it is, and he knows whether he's looking at me, whether he needs to come out there and be like, hey man, let's freaking go, or if he needs to be like, hey, you're great, I love you, you know. It's he and I had so much time together that it's that relationship is hard to replicate. But I'll tell you, I had a great relationship with Kiz and Contreras this year also, and man, Contreras and I have really grown over the last couple months, getting comfortable with game calling and sequencing and how you work between games, and you know what I'm seeing and what he's seeing. Sometimes that's different, so you talk about it and then you get on the same page. I love doing that stuff, you know. That's my favorite part of pitching, is the preparation behind it. And so those guys prepare hard. They work their tails off to be good and to help us be better.
You say that about Yadi. There was a time I was out on the mound, I was struggling, and I gave him that look, and then he'd whistle at Albert, and they pick a guy off at first, and I was like, yes. I needed that because it was like bases loaded, and I knew I wasn't getting it. And he knew I needed it. You can't talk about your time here and your career without talking about your family and Jenny. And I know Jenny is one of the sweetest human beings ever, and you don't get to play this long with as many kids that you have without having that rock at home to be able to allow you to come here and do those things. I mean, you know, you played a long time in this league, and I was my family came to a game the other day, and we were sitting close to the family section, and Jenny wasn't there. You weren't pitching, but I told Bridget, I was like, man, like we've been out of this for so long, you know, and she's still coming to these games and bringing the kids down and doing all that, and it's just wild to think about. You know, this isn't just an Adam Wainwright thing. I mean, this is a team deal, and I know how special she is and how amazing she is. But just talk a little bit about that family dynamic, and you know, it's tough being away as much as you guys are. And I know your kids are split a little bit now, and as they're getting older.
It is. It has gotten tougher as they've gotten older. 17, almost 15, almost 12, and then 7, almost 7, and or 7 and 4. You know, so I got all the ages, all the schools. You know, we got a high school, middle school, elementary school, and pre-K in my house. And luckily, my daughter Bailey, my oldest one, she can drive now, so she can take my other daughter Morgan to school with her. Thank goodness, they both in high school. It's a crazy thought that I have 2 daughters in high school. That just doesn't seem that old in my mind until I say it out loud. But at home, Jenny is you said the sweetest. I mean, the other day, this is an example of her little. I call her the baby bunny rabbit, because like you cannot get mad at this woman because she's too sweet. The other day, she slammed her finger in the cabinet in the kitchen, and she like had this hurt face, and she went, bad word, bad word, bad word. I don't mean she said 3 bad words. She said bad word, bad word, bad word. And I thought, you are just as innocent and sweet as it gets in the world, aren't you? And she was like, oh, I don't feel innocent. And I was like, yeah, you're good as it gets, baby. But you know what? She has been so supportive of me, and she's wanted me to live this out. She's wanted me to finish this dream, and she would not have had it any other way than me coming back this year. She knew that if I went home with 195 wins and a team that I felt like should have won the World Series, that we didn't even get to the World Series, she knew I would have not been able to forgive myself the rest of my life and regretted that big time. And she was pushing hard. You've got to come back. Are you kidding me? You've got to come back. You got things to do. You got to win. You got to get these wins. You got to help these young guys. Albert and Yadier are gone, and so you need to help these guys out. And she was right, man. I just I'm so grateful that I've had her. But also the other day I looked at her and I said, all right, now are you about ready for me to be done with this thing? And she's like, I would never tell you that I want you to be done, but I would be okay if you were done.
Right.
And I was like, all right.
Yeah, and she is. I mean, she's amazing. And I've personally, I'm going to inject some personal stuff here, but when I first got here, I just got married, didn't have kids, and me and you became pretty close pretty fast. And I learned so much about being a husband, being a father, from hanging out with you, seeing the way you interacted with your kids and how you spent that time. You're gone a lot, right? So when you get home, you only got a couple hours. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was done, went over to your house and, the kids were, doing homework or something. You're like, get outside and play. You guys need to play. And those things stick out. And I always tell people, you're the most influential person in my life, and that comes from, me coming up, being 23 years old, just being married. Like I can truly say I feel like my life is different because I had a role model, and I had a great upbringing, had great parents, but having that connection that me and you had, and learning from you ahead of that, I mean, it changed the trajectory of my life, career-wise, whatever. But I think,
I
more so
that one, huh?
Yeah, you messed that one up. I wish I had the longevity that you had, but all that stuff, and we went to, we went on a trip together to Haiti in 2014, and you and Jenny invited my wife and I, and we went down there, and it's been life-changing for us. We started our foundation in partnership with you and the work that we get to do together down in Haiti. And I know that's extremely important to you, more so than the on-the-field stuff. And I know you're as competitive as they get on the field, but you truly, like, when people ask me about you, I say, you got to understand, he is what you think he is. And I think that's the biggest compliment you can give, because a lot of people, when you hear it, you're like, man, that's so fake. Mm. That's so for the interview. It's so for, but then I think people see it like it's authentic, and you've done it. You and Jenny have done it through your foundation work and Big League Impact, and what you've created a platform for other guys to do it. But I want you to share the story about the guy from Houston, because I think it's important. I think it just needs people need to understand, like, there's the baseball side of things, and then there's the real life other side of things. And I think me and you think similarly. Mm-hmm. Of, man, that other stuff is, like, the on the field stuff's cool. Yep. But man, this other stuff is really why I'm here.
Yeah, and the on the field stuff gives us the platform to be able to go out and reach more people, and that's why I'm super thankful for that and the platform that we've been given. But you're right, the off-field stuff is what sticks with you way more. I mean, the story that you're wanting me to tell goes back to 2013. We did a program, or a project with Water Mission in Honduras, in Coyuelas Aldea, Honduras, and flew down there after we did this project. This town is kind of like 2 or 3 hours from anywhere, right? Like, it's just in the middle of nowhere, and we flew into a place called Tacoa, and then we got in a caravan, and we drove out into the forest, basically, and went through these little tiny villages and all these big giant pineapple fields and banana orchards, and it was just really beautiful land, and wonderful people. And we got out to Coyuelas Aldea, and when we pulled up, you're kind of thinking, all right, what is this place like? We had heard that it's 1,500 people. We heard that it's up on this hillside, and they have no clean water, so they walk down all the way down this hill to get it from this river, and they get this river water, which is infested with all kinds of waterborne illness, and then they walk all that disgusting water back up the hillside, and that's what they eat, clean, drink, wash, like, cook with, everything. That's their only water they have. And that's what everyone in that area does. And so, we were able to fund that project through our fantasy football draft, the first one we ever did here, where we picked a water project. We picked that one in Honduras, and then we did a food project here in St. Louis, and we did backpacks full of food with half the money, and half the money went to funding this project. And so I pull up, and I'm thinking, gosh, man, I hope that made a difference. When we pull up to the town, there's 1,500 people with billboards, poster boards with handwritten letters. Thank you, Big League Impact. Thank you, Adam Wainwright. Thank you, gracias. And I'm thinking, well, dang, all right, must have been okay. And so in the process, we also helped build latrines. And so if we built a toilet for one family, and if the other family next to them wanted to have one also, they had to help build their neighbors. And then that whole process went, so they all had latrines, they all had clean water. And so instead of walking 2 miles down this hill to get water, they only had to go, that we installed the project at the top of the hill, ran 50 taps down through the city, and so that nobody had to walk more than 50 feet to get clean water throughout the whole village. So we pull up, and they're going crazy for it. It's just life altering, right? And so you're thinking, man, that's great. Well, fast forward, and it was amazing. That was amazing. We walked through it, and some people hadn't used their bathrooms yet because they didn't want to use it until they showed us that they built it right and it was clean and it was great. And I'm like, all right, now go use it, but the water bill in us, their tummies were not hurting anymore, and so they could work and they could go to school and they could eat and be healthy. So fast forward to this year, we've done several other projects, but fast forward to this year, I'm pitching against Houston, have a terrible day. They just whooped me. So just like every other start this year that it went wrong, I was 1 or 2 pitches with 2 outs away from getting out of it. And instead, I gave up 6 runs. Terrible. And we lost the game, and I'm feeling pretty low after the game. And then Rip Rowan from the visiting clubhouse texts over, and he says, "Hey, Mauricio Dubon from the Astros would like to meet you and come shake your hand." And I was like, was he going to come over here and rub it in? Like, what's going on here? I said, sure, yeah, I'll meet him and talk to him. So he comes over, and he wants me to sign a jersey for him. And he says, "Hey, I just have to tell you that I'm from a little town right next to Coelho Aldea. And in my town, we used that water, and we didn't have clean water. And then we did. And I was so inspired by some gringo from, South Georgia coming over here. There was a St. Louis Cardinals baseball player to come over here to my town, to my country, to help our people." He said it's inspired me to go out and want to do the same thing. And I felt in that moment, I thought, golly, I just got my tail whooped, and things are not going too great at all for me in my own personal career. But this platform is worth it. I'm here for a reason, and what we were able to accomplish, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I walked out of that clubhouse that day. I walked into there to meet Mauricio, feeling as low as I had all season, and I walked out of there feeling higher than I had all season, because I thought, this matters. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be still playing baseball, doing these things. Because sometimes when you have a bad game, you're thinking, what am I doing? Right? Like, why am I still doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people want me to get out of here and retire, and I understand that. So why am I putting myself through this when I've been through so many great things? And then I walk out of there going, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm here. Yeah, I want to win games, but to be able to reach more people in other countries, in our country, and in the inner cities of St. Louis, wherever it is, that means something that's special.
Yeah, and there's a lot more of those stories too that are out there over your time that you've been a part of, and your impact has been tremendous. Thanks for sharing that, because that's that doesn't happen very often. What are the chances that kid, a part of that water program, and then now is in the big leagues?
Yeah.
Probably got 4 hits off you that day. And
well, here's another inspiring thing from that too. So we brought water, but another Christian organization from California or someplace, they brought baseball equipment. And so, whether you're bringing baseball equipment, water, Bibles, food, medicine, whatever it is, all of it means something. Because now Mauricio's in the big leagues because somebody brought baseball stuff from a different church here in the United States. Now he's thinking, they thought that for me, they brought that for me. Now I want to go take that to them. And that's true of, I feel like sometimes people don't understand the impact they could have if they would just put in the effort.
Yeah.
If they would just go and meet those people. Then they would catch that, like you caught it and like I caught it. When we go and you meet those people and you see their need, you can't not do something about that. And so I feel like if more people went and saw that, like if we took more people on our trips with us, Kyle, I feel like people would come back fired up to help more people.
Yeah. We got to let you go here in a little bit because you got a lot of things to do as you're wrapping your season up here. But what's next? You got a couple weeks left of the season, and then what?
Well, great question. I'll be calling the ALDS this year for Fox. So that's the first thing. But, you said it. I got 5 kids. I got a wife at home who says bad word that I gotta go help her raise these kiddos up, and she does an amazing job, amazing mom. And I'd like to be able to coach them in some of the things they do. I got some music playing. I got an album coming out. We're gonna have to get a dog, eventually here in the next couple of months because they've been waiting on that for a long, long time. And besides that, man, just grow the garden and hopefully go on some mission trips and feed the people and shake some hands and go to church, like a normal person would at 11 o'clock service on Sundays instead of having to have 15 minutes of church on Sundays, chapel. But I'll miss this. I'll miss being able to come into the clubhouse. I think more than even playing, I'll miss the guys.
What for Cardinal fans, what do we expect out of for seeing you? Spring training, has that been talked about yet down the road? I mean, obviously the Red Jacket's coming soon, but are we going to see you around here in St. Louis?
Well, my wife's favorite time of year is spring training. It's her favorite time of year. And, that's the time when we get to go down there and we don't know anybody. Nobody's trying to pull us in 12 different directions and stay by the beach. And we love Jupiter and the food down there, and kids love the little school they go to, and that's just a great place. So eventually, I don't know if this year, I don't know, we'll have to see our schedule, but eventually you're going to be stuck with me in spring training for sure. I'd love to come down there for at least a few weeks, plus I love our chapels that we have down there, our Bible studies that we have between games or at nights. I love those times. Those are some of the most meaningful times we've had in my career. But we'll be back here every now and then for sure. I mean, this is home for us too, so we'll be back and forth.
So, kid from South Georgia, drafted by the Braves, traded to the St. Louis Cardinals, now having 200 wins. It's coming to an end. I mean, when you look back, I mean, what in the world?
I'm still not used to hearing that next to my name, though. That's really cool. And first of all, how did anyone win 300 games?
That's crazy.
Because 200, I'm not sure many people are ever going to win 200 again, honestly. Garrett Cole, he'll do it if he stays healthy. But it's not easy. It's not easy to get there. But you're right, man. What a ride it's been. What an incredible blessing. To play, and especially to play in one place my whole career. To play here in St. Louis and call this home for 18 years has been one of my life's joys, and I would never, ever, ever trade it for anything in the world.
Well, I want you to enjoy these next couple weeks here. You're going to have a lot of ovations, a lot of celebrations, and you deserve every bit of it. And I mean it when I tell you, man, the most influential person in my life personally. I love you. My wife loves you. You and Jenny have been tremendous to us. And I have a little gift for you.
Uh-oh.
Because you've paid for a lot of my meals over time.
Paid for a few.
Paid for a lot of my meals and never let me pay. And so I have something I want to give you.
That's it, Don. Yeah, it's the same thing you always try to give me. I'm still going to say no to it.
I want you to take my dollar.
Take him to Nobu and get him A5 Japanese beef steak and fancy sushi, whatever. Here, man, here, let me help.
I'm
like, no, man, I got it. And he's like, no, seriously, I want to help. And then he always pulls out a $1 bill. Get that $1 bill out of my face.
Well, I love you, man. Congratulations. You deserve every bit of it. It is fun to be there and see it. And I got to see you as a young player transition to a leader in that time frame. 2008 is when you were starting to shed the young guy, become that leader. And it couldn't have been any more perfect for me to benefit from it, all the other guys. So I'm your biggest fan, biggest cheerleader, man, and I couldn't be happier for you. So enjoy the next couple
now
weeks.
Now we got to go stick a big buck together.
I'm in. I'm in. I'm pretty much a guide right now for my kids because with their schedule, but I'm in. So, but enjoy it, and it's going to be a fun last week or so of the season. Are we going to see you on the mound again? Can you break news here?
I think so. I mean, look, I think if I didn't pitch again, and that's if I can physically, if I didn't pitch again, I don't know how that looks.
I don't know. 1-0 shutout looks pretty good.
Yeah. No, that's a good way. Trust me, from a personal standpoint, that's a pretty good way to go out. But if I just got the number I was trying to get, and then I was like, all right, I'm done, then I'm not sure that looks great. If that's the right message. So. If I can pitch again, we're going to try to get out there. Again.
Mentally, you going to throw a bullpen right now doesn't sound like a great idea.
I've been done with bullpens for months. Been done with bullpens for months, buddy. I hadn't, that the last month of the season has been you save every bullet for the game. I told the Brewers that yesterday. I went over and thanked them.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Really cool moment that they stayed in the dugout.
Yep.
I think that shows the respect that people in the league have for you.
Yeah, that meant a lot to me. I went over and thanked them, just shook their hands personally and said thanks a lot. Sent some cigars over to them, and just said, hey, that was great, man. That was super pro, and just appreciated that. And where was I going with that? I don't even remember where I was going with that.
I don't know.
What were we talking about?
Something about.
Anyways,
something that was
cool.
Really important. Yeah,
it was cool, and I went over there and thanked them. And I said, hey, listen, man. They said that was great. That was cool to watch. I mean, even from our perspective, like that was cool to watch you do that. Because we know you're not feeling great. I was like, really? How could you tell? I said,
83 didn't give it away.
Yeah. I said, listen, I had one more clip. I shot every bullet I had that day, and I did, man. I left it all out there, but hopefully we got a little bit more left, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, that wraps up our episode with Adam Wainwright. You can watch any of our episodes on the Cardinals YouTube channel and check out any of our episodes last year and all of this year on anywhere that you get your podcast. Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you next month.